Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Juliet. Today I'm going to show you how to make this ring, hoop earring with little forget-me-not flowers on it. This could also be used, this ring could also be used as a toggle. If you did a peyote tube and you wanted to use it as the toggle, you could use it as that. Or you could even use it like as a component in something like a necklace or a bracelet. This actual ring is really useful technique to have under your belt. And it technically should be done in PRAW, P-R-A-W, which is prismatic right angle weave. This is a three-sided triangle. So there's a flat side on the inside, flat side on this side, flat side on that side. However, it uses a lot of thread if you do it in that way, and I've found a better way, quicker way to do it. So I'm going to teach you that today. The other thing you need to know is this particular one has 20 beads going around it. You could actually make it a little bit smaller, like 16 or 18. I guess you could go a little bit bigger. If you go too big, it'll start to warp when you sort of smush it. You can see it's pretty good at holding its own shape at the moment with the 20. So, you know, there's a little bit of wiggle room, but to me, this is a nice size. So I'll quickly run through the materials. So here we have some 11/0 seed beads, Miyuki Galvanized Gold, some 8/0 Miyuki. These are the Miyuki drops, the smaller drops. So you're going to need some of those for the flowers. And I have some 15/0s here in a Ceylon cream, I believe that's the color, which go in the, excuse me, they go in the middle of the flower here. And then I have these little bead caps, which are 4 millimeters by 1. I got them from Fire Mountain Gems. This is the code if you want to order these exact ones, okay? If not, you can use any small little bead cap that you have. And that's just for the center of the little forget-me-nots, okay? Obviously, you're going to need some kind of an earring finding. So I bought these from Caravan Beads, and they're kind of cool because you can put your own accent bead on. So I'm going to be using one of my 8/0 beads, and then I'll show you later how to do the loop and everything. But I like that it's customizable. And then you will need a jump ring, which will hold your earring hoop onto your beading. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so thread your needle. You're going to need quite a lot of thread. I would do sort of 4 feet or like an arm's, you know, a wingspan. Whatever you feel comfortable with. It's better to get longer than shorter. And you're going to obviously leave your standard tail so you can weave that in at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out doing what's called modified right angle weave. So we're going to just pick up 4 beads, 4 of our 11/0s. Okay, 4 11/0s, and push them right on down. Somehow I've ended up with my tail being on the wrong thread. Okay, so there we go. So get your 4 beads, and you're just going to go ahead, go through them all again, just to form a ring. So it's going to form a loop like this and then pop through that very first one more time just to close that gap up. So you should have a little square like that. Okay. So modified right angle weave, we are going to be putting an extra bead in between each of our units. So we're, instead of moving forward into this bead and making a loop, which is what we would, moving forward into this bead and making a loop, which is what we would normally do, and then we'd go over here and we'd make another loop. We're not going to do that. We're going to pick up 4 beads. So we're going to pick up 1 for right here, and then our top bead, our side bead, and our bottom bead. So 4 beads. You're going to pop upwards into that bead there. Okay. Pull that tight. You're going to skip that bead. So I'm just skipping that, and then I'm going to sew into the next bead. So I'm skipping this bead that's right here, and I'm sewing forward into the next bead. Okay. You're going to pull that tight, and it's going to look like this. And you're just going to keep doing that, picking up 4 beads. So you sew up through the end bead, pull it all tight, then you're going to skip that very first bead there and just follow your thread. Sew forward into the second bead. Okay. So see how I'm skipping this one, and I'm sewing into the second bead. So now I have this. And we're just going to keep doing that. 4 beads again. Up into this end bead right here. Pull it tight. Skip that bead. Sew into the second bead. And you're going to keep going until you have 19 units on, and I'll show you how to count the units. So we've done 4 units, and I know this because on this side, these little poking down beads, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So keep repeating, picking up 4, sewing up into this one, skipping a bead, and sewing the way you're going into the next bead. Come back when you have 19 units. Okay, so I am back, and hopefully you have your 19 units, and it looks something like this. And be sure to count these bottom ones just to double check. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And our last unit is going to join these 2 ends together. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to pick up 2 beads. Okay, pick up 2, and make sure you're not twisting your ends. So what you want is the side with the ends missing to be on the same side. Okay. This is my thread coming out right here. And what you're going to do is you're going to sew down into this bead on the other side. So this far end bead. Okay. Go ahead and pull that tight. So once you've done that, So here's the bead that I've just sewn into right here. Okay, once I've done that, I'm going to pick up one more bead, and so I've sewn into this side. On this end, can you see how there's like a square here? I'm going to sew up into this this one right here. Okay, when you pull all that tight, it's going to look like this. You're going to skip when you added your 2 beads at the top here. See, those are the 2. I'm going to skip that one. So push it over towards where you are and sew into this one. Okay. And then you'll notice we have a little gap right here. We just need to pop one more bead in here. And I'm just going to sew through like 3 beads here. So make sure that you're coming out. So some of these beads are sitting a little bit higher or lower. Make sure you're coming out one of the ones that are closer down to this pointy side, because they're the units of 4 that are making up the raw right angle weave. So make sure that when you do finish coming out, that you come out on one of those, okay? Go ahead and pull that nice and tight. There you go. So now we have this band with modified right angle weave. So one side is filled in and the other side is not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down through one of these middle beads, okay, towards the other side, and then go into, it doesn't matter which direction you go, if you want to work away from yourself or if you want to work towards yourself, go into one of the ones on the bottom row. Oops, just dropped my needle. There we are. Okay. So now we're going to fill in the gaps here. Sorry, the trash is being picked up outside. So we're just going to pick up one 11-0. We're going to pop over into the next bead. One 11-0. Into the next bead, and you're going to go all the way around your ring, and it's going to make it so it's even on both sides. So just keep going, just picking up one and then into the next bead, just like that, okay? And just keep going until you come back. Okay, so I am about to fit in my very last one, which will go right here, and I'm just going to move forward to the 3rd bead, which is one of the ones that's closer into the inside, okay, just to finish that off. Now at this point I would just double check that you haven't missed. It's very easy to miss one. Just make sure that you got them all. I actually did miss one and had to pull some of mine out, so I'm speaking from experience here. Okay, here we go. So make sure that you are coming out of one of these inner beads. See how these 2 are like further out beads, and these 2 are closer in to the middle. So you're going to have some that stick out and some that are a little bit closer in. These are just the extra beads we added, the ones on the outside. The inner ones are connected to this middle row right here. So these are the ones that we want to be working with, these ones that are kind of closer in, okay? So make sure that your thread's coming out of one of those. Now what we're going to do is pick up 111/0, 180, and 111/0. And we're going to go into the same bead that we're coming out of from the opposite side. So, okay. So just make a loop like this, okay? And then we're going to need to move forward through this sticking out bead and then into the next bead that's in between where that hole is, okay? So remember, we're not using the sticking out beads. We just want to pass through that to get to the next one. All right, so now we're going to again pick up 1 and 180, but we don't need to pick up another 11/0. We're just going to go down this bead right here. Okay. So enter into that. Then you're going to go into these, see that's my anchor bead. I'm going to call them anchor beads. These two right here where my needle is, okay? The beads that are between these two. So those two. So I'm going to go into that bead. Then I'm going to pass through the next two. Now, you can obviously do this in one go, and it's a lot quicker when you're working your project to just go through 3 beads. But I just wanted to make sure you understood which beads we're going into. Okay, so one more time, I'm coming out from one of my inner 2 beads. Okay, we're going to pick up 1 and 1. So 111, 18. I'm going down this bead. I'm going to re-enter the bead that my thread is coming out of. So go ahead, go down this bead into that plus 2 more. Okay, so I'm going through this bead on the side, the bead my thread's coming out of, the sticking out bead, and then the next inner bead. Okay, I'm sorry, I feel like my explanations are a bit weird today, and I apologize. You ever have one of those days when you can't talk? Okay, there we go. And see how it's starting to sit up. So this is the top or the outer bit of our ring on our earring, okay? And we're just going to repeat this the entire way down, just picking up an 11 and an 8, going down into that 11, into that bead that we're already coming out of, plus 2 more. So the sticking out bead and the next inner bead. So down through the edge bead here and then through those 2. Okay, and you're just going to continue doing this all the way around. So just keep picking up an 11, an 8, and sewing through those 4 beads. 11, 8, bead that I just added, that bead, and that bead. Okay. So go ahead, go all the way around, and I will meet you back at the join. Okay, so I've gone almost all the way around. I am just going to do my last couple here. So here I'm going down there into the bead that my thread's coming out of, through the next 2 beads just like I normally would. So I'm going down my side bead and through those 3. And then here we need to close up the gap. So what we do, we don't add an 11-0, we just go up through this 11-0 that's sitting here. In front of us. Then we pick up one of our 8-0s and we go down through this 11-0 that's behind us and then into the bead that's in the gap. Okay, so we have now completed the entire one side. Sorry. So we need to get to the other side. In order to do that, you need to be coming out of one of the inner pairs of beads here that's underneath an 8-0 and between these 2. Then you're just going to move your thread forward. So my thread's coming this direction. So I'm going to move through this middle bead towards this edge. Okay. And then I need to move not into one of these more sticking out beads, but one of the more inner beads. So I'm going to go this direction. It doesn't really matter which direction you go. It's just that because my tail is here, I don't think I want to go in that direction. I'm going to go this way. Just personal preference. Okay, so I am now coming out of one of the inner beads of this square. These are the ones that are sticking out. I'm on one that's in, okay, an innie. If it was a belly button, it would be an innie. Okay, go ahead, pick up one 11-0. And then you're gonna kind of push this over and see which 8-0 it should be above it, which should be this one. So you're gonna work, your thread is going out to the front. I'm going to go backwards into this 8-0 right here. And then I'm going to pick up another 11-0 and I'm gonna go into that bead that, see my thread is coming out here. Going into that bead again and move forward. Go ahead, move forward 3. Really, I want to come out of this bead, but I don't think I can do it in one shot. So I'm gonna go here and then one more to move on to the next. So now you can see that that has kind of pulled this 8-0 into the middle of our ring. Okay, so now all we need to do is pick up one 11-0, work backwards through that 8-0, the next 8-0, and then we're going to go down through this bead that's already here that we just added a second ago on the side. Okay, like this, and then into that sticking in bead plus 2 more. So this square is a unit, okay, and I'm calling it a square because it's, you know, a left side, a top, or a right side, a top, a left side, and a bottom. Okay, go ahead and pull that. So you're just going to continue in this manner, picking up one 11-0, go backwards through the 8-0, then go down through the side 11-0, and then into the base of that square plus 2 more. You're going to do that all the way around. So you're just adding the one bead back through the 8/0, down through the side, into that anchor bead plus 2. And you see how that's starting to form a nice spine there on that. It's kind of pulling it into the middle and forming a nice spine. So go ahead, go all the way around. I'll come back when I'm almost at the end. Okay, I'm nearly back to the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and just push my tail out of the way onto the other side of my ring. So you can see here, I only have 2 left to attach on, these 2 8/0s. So I'm just going to go ahead, pick up 1, go into the 8/0, go down through that side bead, and through my 3 beads, which would be, I can get in there. These 3. Perfect. Okay, and now here I don't need to add a bead because this bead is already here. Okay, when you get to the end. So there's my 8/0. You can see this bead's already here. I'm coming out of this bead right here. So I'm just going to go up into this bead. Through my 8/0. Down into that bead. And then into this bead that's underneath the 8/0. And just for tension's sake, I'm going to also go through the next 2 beads like I've been doing the next 3 beads. So I'm coming out below this 8/0. Okay. All right. So I now have a completed ring. We are now going to add some 8/0s in between the outer 8/0s. So go ahead, step up through the next side bead. Make sure you're in one of the inner 11/0s, and then step up through a side bead. And we'll just turn this around and go the other way into an 8/0. Okay. Can pull my tail back through. Okay. So now all we need to do is add 1 8/0 in between each of these 8/0s that's already here. So just go ahead and drop them in. So like I said in the intro, this does make a really useful ring that you can use with a toggle, like as a toggle if you do a peyote tube. You can even add the embellishments that we're going to add onto the end of each tube to make a very cute little toggle. I'm not going to show that in this video, but maybe I'll do another video that shows how to do it if you guys want that. So if you do want me to show you how to do the toggle, then go ahead and comment, and I'll see how many people want that. So I'm going to just finish this off quickly and I'll be back in a second. Okay, that was super quick. So I just have my very last one to put in, and what I'm going to do, so I'm looking here, my tail's here. I have about 3 beads before my tail, so I'm going to just remember that, and I'm going to run all the way around again to reinforce this outer ring. So I'm just running through all the 8 O's on the outside, and I'm just remembering where I started. So I know I've run all the way around. Just because obviously the outer ring of a circle gets the most wear and tear, so it's a good idea to kind of make sure all those beads are connected in well. I mean, if you wanted to, you could count. You will have 40 beads on this outer ring. But counting, who counts? Nobody counts. Let's just eyeball everything, right? Okay, so there's my tail, so I know I've made it all the way around because I actually started right here. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that I go into one of these lower beads. Again, on the outer ring, you'll have some that are higher and some that are lower, so make sure you go into one of the lower sitting beads, okay? And then you should be able to just scooch down one of these middle beads, okay? And I'm going to move forward, so make sure that when you're going into it, you're not going into one of these sticking out beads. You're going into one of the ones on a square, so the ones that sit up more. I'm just going to move forward a few beads here. And what I'm actually doing here is we're going to add our flower embellishment, but I approach from the inside ring. And that is why all of my flowers have 2 petals on the outside and 1 petal like on the inside. See, that's the middle petal, that's the middle petal. So you want to make sure that you're approaching from the middle. So I'm just getting into position on the middle ring, the middle of the ring, so I can move out. So make sure you're in one of the up one of your 4. Make sure you're coming out of one of those 4, okay? So not one of these sticking out ones, one of these sticking in ones. And then we're going to go from the outside, moving up into one of these side middle beads. Then you're going to pick up 3 of your drops. These are the smaller drops. There's 2 sizes of Miyuki drops. I'm using the smaller ones, okay? So pick up 3, and then you're going to go through that same bead again, okay? Now you're going to pick up 2. You're going to go through this bottom drop that you just added a second ago. And then you have to kind of look underneath and find that bead that all your thread's going into, and you're going to go into that bead again. And it can be a little tricky, but you can kind of move your beads out of the way and see where it is. And then when you pull, you're going to get this cute little flower shape, okay? So go ahead, pull your thread up through the middle of that flower shape, pick up your bead cap, and make sure that you're going into the convex side, so the side that is humped, okay? Enter from that side and come out of the cupped side, the concave side. You guys remember all that from school? Concave and convex. Okay, then you're going to pick up one of your 15 O's and push it right the way down onto your cup. Then you're going to go down through the cup. So don't go through your 15-0, just go down through your cup. Okay. And this is kind of tricky because like it's not fixed to anything necessarily. So you may need to grab your 15-0 with your nail and kind of, or you can even like pull it with your needle a little bit if you need to. What you're trying to do is get it as flush up against your little flowers as you can. Okay. So once you've done that, it doesn't matter if you go to the left of this petal or the right. You're going to again aim for that 11-0 that's in there somewhere and go through it. And your thread should go between two of the petals, just like that. And you may need to adjust it a little bit with your nail. Just kind of play around until it sits cute the way you want it. Okay, so there is our first little forget-me-not. Then you're going to move into one of the lower down beads. Doesn't matter if you go left or right. I'm just going this direction because this is the way my thread wants to go. And I'm moving over like 3 beads into one of the lower down 8-0 beads. Doesn't matter which one, you can go further than I did. Then you're going to go down through one of the middle beads again. And then you're going to again go through the ones that those little squares. Look for the squares. It's this bead here that I'm going into. I'm going to move forward a few beads. So on this earring, I put 3. You can put however many you want. You can space them closer together. You can space them farther apart. You can put different colors, however you want to do it. But obviously I want to match this earring. So what I did was I left 3 of the middle beads and then I did 1, and then I left 3 and then I did 1. So just once you get on your inner ring again, you can move forward until you get to the next spot where you want your next one to be. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I want it to be on this 4th one here on mine. So I'm going to move forward through that. So there's one like here. The one that my flower is actually under is next to this bead. So 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th one. Oh, so I actually went 1 bead. Hang on, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I went 1 bead too far. I need to make sure you're coming out one of the beads that forms a square. Okay, and then go ahead, move up through that bead, and we're just going to repeat again. We're going to pick up 3 drops, so into the bead again, pick up 2 drops, so into that drop that is in the center of our ring, and then up through our 11-0 again that's hiding under everything. Okay, I got it. He can run, but he can't hide. Don't be afraid to move your flower out of the way if you can't find it, okay? You can always tighten it back up again. All right. Pull your thread upwards. Then go ahead, pick up your bead cap. Again, going through the convex side. Go ahead, pick up your 15-0 and go down through your bead cap again. Don't worry, everything's fine. And then pick a side and go through that 11-0 again. And then just get everything sitting the way you want. So that's 2 flowers on. Okay. So again, move into one of the lower down 8-0s. Just move over a couple beads and then drop down from one of the lower down 8-0s through a middle bead into the closer up beads. Figure out where 1, 2, 3. Okay, I need to go there. So I need to go through 3, I think, 3 beads here. One, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. So this is where my last flower is going to be. I'm going to go ahead, go up into that bead, pick up my 3 drop beads. If you're wondering where to get these, I like to get all of my Miyuki from Caravan Beads. They are the North American supplier of Miyuki, so they have an excellent selection and really good shipping and all of that. They have like pretty much all of the different finishes of all the Miyuki beads. All right, so then I'm going through that bottom bead after I pick up my 2. And then I'm going up through that 11-0. Get my flower organized. And then pick up my bead cap from the bottom to the top, the way you want it to sit. And then go ahead, grab your 15-0 and go back down through that bead cap. And again, just pick a side and go through that 11-0. Doesn't matter if you're on this side of the petal or that side of the petal, does not matter. Arrange your flower the way you like it. Okay. So I have added my 3 flowers. Like I said, you could add more, you could add less, you can add different colors, however you want to do it. So now all I have to do is tie off my thread. So I'm going to go through one of these. Doesn't want to go through that side, so we're going to try this side. Okay. And I'm going to make my way down to the center ring. Go through a few beads. And then just go ahead, tie a knot like you normally would, which is done by going through between two beads. And before you pull the whole loop through, you're going to put your needle through that loop. And you're going to pull slowly and watch that knot form between those beads. And then you're just going to scooch around a little bit further. And do the same thing again. So form a loop, put your needle through that loop, and then very slowly make sure it's going between the beads. And then once you've got a couple, you can move forward a few more beads and then you can cut. And you should be good. So what you're going to do now is you're going to tie off your other tail in exactly the same way. And then I will come back and show you how I actually assembled my earring. Okay, so I have tied off my threads and I have this cute little ring. So you can imagine if you had a toggle clasp, a little thing, you know, it could come through and sit, and these little flowers could be on that side. It would be so cute. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to add a bead onto one of these type of earrings. So go ahead, it's very simple. Thread your bead on there, then get your round nose pliers, and you're gonna bend this bar up like 45 degrees. Okay, so it's like upwards. Okay, then I take my round nose pliers and I actually have a scrape on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it right there. Yeah. That's kind of my guide where I like to put things, so that everything's the same size. So I'm going to start curving this, just curling it in right there on my round nose pliers. And what's going to happen is I'm actually going to need to trim a tiny bit off. Not very much, literally a couple millimeters. I'm just going to trim like this much off with my wire cutters. Okay. And then I'm just going to continue curving that in. Until it meets. Okay, so there you go. There's my earring. Got my little loop there. Okay, so that's that. Now I need a jump ring. I actually, funny story. I tried to use this jump ring on this earring and it disappeared. I didn't know where it went. And I was walking around going, why is my slipper poking me? It was inside my slipper and it was poking me. So usually when you have a jump ring, it's closed. I happened to open it and then I lost it in my slipper. So anyway, it's going to look like that, you know. So the way to open a jump ring is take two pliers, twist it open, okay? And now you need to work out which bead is opposite on top, and it looks like it's this one. Again, I could count. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. It's this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and push the jump ring through my AO, and then I can just go ahead and thread on my earring wire as well. And then to close your jump ring, you're just going to twist it shut. Kind of wiggle it a little, helps harden the metal. And then I also like to just clamp it with my pliers, just to make sure that it is shut. And I also like to turn it so that the seam of the jump ring is inside my 8/0 bead. I mean, it might not stay there forever, but for right now, it's good to have it in there. Okay, so there you go. I've finished my earrings. I think they look great. I think this is a useful little ring to have in your toolkit of ideas and abilities. You know, rings are always useful. Loops and rings, you can, you know, connect several together to make interesting components. You can use them for bracelets or whatever. So anyway, hopefully you have enjoyed this project, and I hope to see you in the next video. Please do not forget me not, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified next time I upload a video. All right, guys, happy beading. Bye.